How is Guerrilla Games going to handle DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn? I will tell you why there's a high chance that the story expansion they're working on will take place before the last mission. This video will contain spoilers of the game, so if you haven't finished it yet, don't watch this video yet. Okay, you're still with me, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and don't forget to hit the like button. Yes, I want to get revenge on Silence as well and stop Hades once and for all, but I think we will have to wait for a sequel to do that. The DLC has a very high chance that it will take place before the end. As you know, Guerrilla Games tells you that there is no going back if you start the last mission in Horizon Zero Dawn, but you of course know that once you finished it, you will be teleported back to before the events that happened during that last mission. The reasons why this is the case is pretty logic. We all know what happens during the last mission. Almost everything gets destroyed by agent machines in an attempt to take back Meridian. The city walls will get destroyed, Meridian Village is up in flames, and the forest is not what it was before. If you still had to do cauldrons or had some tallnecks to override, you would be out of luck, because after the last mission, the whole world is different. So that's why you get teleported back to a time before the events. But you can maybe already see where I'm going with this. If the DLC indeed continues after the ending of the game, then it means that they would have to completely change the world, or the timeline would be weird. If you indeed go after Silence in the DLC, then they would have to recreate Meridian, make a destroyed version of the whole map, and I can totally understand that it would be a huge undertaking for the DLC. For me, I want the DLC to focus on new stuff, on new machines, new locations, but if they have to use a lot of resources to create a ton of the map, instead of focus on new stuff, then that would be a shame. And what if you bought the DLC but you did not finish all the corrupted zones, for example, and they are not in the new version of the world as part of the DLC? Would you be able to go back via a teleporter to how the world was in the base game? See what I mean? It will get complicated. Continuing after the Horizon Zero Dawn story for the DLC would also eliminate potential buyers that have not even played Horizon Zero Dawn. It would spoil the game. Imagine that at E3 they will show a trailer for the DLC and they will show a continuation after the ending. Then a lot of people will be like, okay, I was going to get Horizon Zero Dawn, but now I already know the ending because the DLC continues after the ending and you just show the trailer. That would not be a smart decision, because Sony will probably score big with a Horizon Zero Dawn PS4 Pro bundle for a cheap price against the Scorpio that will probably cost way more during Black Friday. Just like they did with the Uncharted 4 bundle during Black Friday that also sold a lot. So there are still a lot of potential Horizon Zero Dawn buyers, so showing them the ending would not make sense. Another game that comes to mind with an ending where DLC after that would not make sense is Mass Effect 3. At this point you should know that, spoilers I guess, Earth was destroyed, so side missions after that would simply not make sense. The DLC instead added things that took place during the events of the main game, not after them. Same goes for other open world RPGs like Fallout 4 and The Witcher 3. You could just access these areas of the DLC without having finished the game, and they all took place before the ending. So I think that Horizon is going to take the same route as well, because of the many things I said. This means that maybe Silence will not be a part of this DLC, that it will not be a part of the story at all, that we are totally looking at a new story. I think there are two options for what the DLC could be. If you think there are more, please let me know in the comments down below. The first option would be a background story of a character, or to learn more of the time that we haven't played in the game. The time between young Aloy and the moment she grows older and is suddenly ready for the proving. Better known as the time with Rost as well. Rost is my favorite side character in Horizon Zero Dawn, but he gets way too less screen time, and while we know what happened to him if we ask Teresa, it would be cool to uncover more and play it for ourselves, to get a better understanding of the relationship between Rost and Aloy as well. The voice actor of Rost is working on new stuff with Catherine Tater, as you see here. This could of course be for anything, any game, but I still think that this combination is interesting, while Catherine is not connected to Horizon Zero Dawn as of yet. She did do voice acting for many Star Wars games. She did Fett for the Old Republic and Padme for Disney Infinity 3.0. Maybe she's the wife of Rost. Wild speculation here, but I can totally see a DLC happen where we get more background on what happened with Rost, the relationship with Aloy, the wife of Rost, something like that. It would suck though, because I think that our gear and progression would not carry over to such a DLC, that we have to build a new arsenal, but yeah, it's worth it. It will be worth it. In the second and only other scenario that I can think of, we would be able to carry our gear and just move to another area before the final mission or a certain time in the main game. Then we go to the Banur area with the Banuk tribe, a theory I already discussed a lot and even yesterday in a video that you can watch by clicking on the screen. Going to a new region would make so much sense because that is a great way to introduce new machines, new weapons, armor and lore. We get to learn more about a certain tribe and their way of looking at things in the Horizon Zero Dawn world as well, which could be super interesting. The story could be about the Banuk. They have a conflict right now going on between the shamans and the hunters. Shaman Siluk can explain it nicely.
There are many changes in Ban-Ur. The hunters and shamans bicker without end.
What about?
How best to deal with a harsher world. The hunters, they don't want it back the way it used to be. And we shamans find ourselves able to explain less and less. So many are exiles now, sent to wander.
That sounds like a thing that Aloy can solve, right? Of course, combine that with the things that I mentioned in the video on why it makes so much sense to go to Banur, the area of the Banuk. Of course, the ton of concept art for this area that is not realized yet. Guerrilla Games talking about how players should react to this world while we haven't visited it yet, and a road that is already in the game, etc, etc. There's way more, check out that video. If this second scenario is true, then I would be very interested to see on how they make sense out of it. Why would Aloy go out of their way to find her own truth and stop Hades, to go to this area and help a tribe, while she has her own problems she wants to solve? Just one of the great things, of course, about the game is that she really has a motive to continue and go and explore the world. But I bet that Guerrilla Games will find a way to make sense out of this, if this is indeed correct. I mean, if the first scenario is correct, or maybe something else, but then yeah, for the first scenario they don't really have to explain it, it already makes sense. As for the continuation after the ending, that will more likely happen in the second game. That's when we will get to confront Hades and Silence, because then Guerrilla Games can create a new destroyed version of the world that makes sense, because then there are no more people that want to get the platinum but can't because the world has changed. It's also that the DLC has to be attractive for people that haven't finished the game yet. Like I already said, I think The Witcher 3 is a great example where the DLC is just a separate story that you can also play with a pre-made character. Start at level 30 with some piece of equipment. Maybe they will do that as well. What do you think? Will the DLC take place before the ending or after? Let me know in the comments down below. And nothing is of course announced yet, but Guerrilla Games is growing and E3 2017 is really close. I will do a video on the chances of the DLC being at E3 soon, so be sure to subscribe for everything Horizon. Like the video if you did, and I will speak to you next time. Thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.